I'm Larry Troxel. I'm the administrator here. Dr. Miller is here. He's medical director of our program. And we've got Rachel Hilliard. She's mid-level. She's really director of our outpatient infusion department. Missy Thompson is here. She's my assistant. And then we have Tamara Wells here from the business office and admissions. I want to thank you for coming tonight and being part of this information town hall that we provide. On behalf of our organization at all levels, welcome. I'm a patient, so we'll start with that. What we're doing is trying to provide a treatment for people that have a need, that have chronic conditions, and the list of those conditions getting longer that we're able to do something about. But tonight, our goal is to give you the information you need in order to make a decision whether or not you feel like the treatment we can provide you is worthwhile and applicable to you. Dr. Miller and the other clinicians can make an assessment to see that, but right tonight, our goal is to kind of give you a 101 on what we're doing. In my situation, I was losing my eyesight to macular degeneration. And had I not gotten into treatment, I would not be able to drive now. And I can see all of you in here, but I would not be able to do that. I had gotten to the point that Dr. Miller walk in the door back there, I couldn't tell who it was. I'd have to wait and kind of see how he moved. Oh, that's Dr. Miller. That's kind of the way I'd gotten. And he had gotten to the point that he wouldn't even ride with me in the car anymore. It was that bad. And then, too, I was really close to becoming diabetic. I didn't know it. It wasn't until we pulled the labs on myself that we really found out how bad I was. And so today, if I had not gotten into treatment back in August of 2021, I would be diabetic today, would not be able to drive, and would be in terrible conditions in other ways. But we started this treatment on June 22nd of 2021. Since that time, we have been collecting data as to how people have benefited, and I'm doing the data entry myself, and we actually have 90 different metrics that we monitor on each case, and I'm one of them. And so as people are in the program and as they get benefit, we document that. And so right now today, we have submitted information up to 40 people that have vision problems like mine, and a white paper is being written now that will eventually go worldwide to talk about what we can do for macular degeneration. We're focusing primarily on dry condition, but we're also seeing benefits now in the wet condition. So that's just one area, but we have patients that their fibromyalgia pain has gone away, migraine gone away, glaucoma gone, neuropathy, retinopathy gone. It just goes on and on. And so these are things that we've actually documented. And tonight, the various ones here will tell you how you can benefit from the program and how it actually, how it works, why it works. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Miller.
So metabolic syndrome, that's basically insulin resistance, basically the same thing, synonymous. So, you know, when for cells to work, they need sugar. That's our main energy form is glucose. And for insulin to help glucose, it activates the system so that for sugar can actually get into the cells. 101 years ago, they discovered insulin and how it works, and you started using it as a medicine. We use it as a hormone. There's 126 or so different hormones in our body. Anything that helps us digest food to thyroid or whatever, but insulin is a hormone secreted by the pancreas, as well as somatostatin and as well as glucagon. Glucagon raises our sugar. When our sugars are too low, glucagon helps her recognizes that, and we get glucagon. When we have too much elevated sugar, insulin comes into effect, and then insulin secreted by the pancreas in a cyclical form, not as just in a big bolus like I always thought in medical school or college, but it's in cycles, and that's the way we give it, in cycles. Your body produces it from the pancreas, goes right into the bloodstream, and lowers our sugar when it's too high, or keeps the sugar regulated. So what happens is our body loses that regulation, and they call that insulin resistance. And so, we have 56 trillion cells. You could put probably 10,000 on the end of an ink pen, cells. And each organ is made up of hundreds of thousands or billions of cells. And your eyeballs are an organ. You have nerves are an organ system, and kidneys are an organ system. So every cell in our body, except for red blood cells, needs sugar. Red blood cells only last 120 days, and they don't have mitochondria. The mitochondria are the part of the cells, and there's thousands of mitochondria per cell, and each sugar gets into those mitochondria, and they form energy in the form of ATP. And so without that energy in the form of ATP, we feel tired and sluggish. So that's what insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome is all about. You don't have to be diabetic to be in this program. Diabetes, you can be pre-diabetic. And we've known about metabolic syndrome. So typically metabolic syndrome or mitochondrial dysfunction, we've known about for 30 or 40 years or more. And people tend to, if you have all your organ systems aren't getting nutrition like they're supposed to, if sugar doesn't get into the cells and form energy in the form of ATP, we feel sluggish, and whichever organ system is. So a lot of times your muscles is an organ. You just can't walk as far. You're just tired. We tell people that diabetics for years, doctors, me included, says, okay, you need to lose some weight and you need to get up off your butt and get to exercising. Well, when you have metabolic syndrome, you don't feel like that. Especially if you've been diabetic or even pre-diabetic. Your legs hurt and your muscles hurt and your nerves hurt. You didn't sleep good at night. You don't have energy. You can't see as far as you used to. You don't hear as well, and you feel bad and sluggish and tired, and that's metabolic syndrome. And you can have it in any degree. When you get it, typically, when you have symptoms associated with diabetes, neuropathy is where the nerves in your body don't work as well. We know that everybody that has dementia has metabolic syndrome. They have insulin resistance across the board, whether you have Alzheimer's or Parkinson's and have Lewy body dementia, or you've had a brain trauma or whatever. Every organ in our body has insulin resistance if you have certain disease properties. Fibromyalgia, Dr. Troxel talked about fibromyalgia, and that's probably going to be our next article. I think probably everybody that has fibromyalgia probably has insulin resistance. And so now, so what does it take to get in this program? Well, you don't have to be diabetic. You can be pre-diabetic. And so pre-diabetics are people that have insulin resistance. And so your body isn't producing insulin like it's supposed to. So you got plenty of sugar out there, and you got plenty of insulin out there. It just, the sugar doesn't get into your cells, and they don't form energy. So whichever organ system that is, your muscles, your eyesight, your nerves, your memory, your kidney functions, whatever, is not working as well if you've got insulin resistance. So typically metabolic syndrome, you have there's five major things that'll get you into this program. 3 of the 5 get you into this program. You don't have to be diabetic. You can be pre-diabetic. So your blood test will tell us that. If you're already diabetic, you've got 1 of the 5. So if you're a little overweight, so what are the 5 criteria? Well, being a little overweight, you don't have to be morbid obesity to have part of metabolic syndrome. Typically, when you have metabolic syndrome, you get fat around your waist. And so most Texans, most Americans have a little fat around their waist, me included. And so most likely you may have some insulin resistance. A blood test will tell us that. High blood pressure is one of the 5 criteria for metabolic syndrome. High triglycerides, high cholesterol, and then obesity. Diabetes or pre-diabetes is one of those, if I didn't mention that. So that's the 5 things. So not everybody that has metabolic syndrome is a candidate for this program, because some people's sugar, that we can't get it up to 125 before we start the insulin infusions. So you just got to feed them a ton of sugar so we can give them insulin. So there's very few people that don't qualify for the program. Some people, it's just so hard to get their sugar up so we can give them insulin to help their insulin resistance or help their metabolic syndrome. So very few people don't qualify for this. Most people in this room, probably just looking around the room, everybody's a little overweight or little this or little that. If you're already diabetic or pre-diabetic, you've got 2 of the 3 already. So insurance covers it really well. If you got Medicare and a supplement, covers it really well. So just getting in the program, it really isn't a big deal a lot of times. And whether it helps you or not, this program really isn't for us, it's for you. I literally don't accept any funding for running the thing. We do it to help people. You don't change doctors, you keep your same doctor. We don't steal patients. You keep your same doctor, and we'll try to inform your doctor. I didn't know anything about it 3 years ago. I knew insulin resistance, I knew all that stuff that we're trying to help people with metabolic syndrome, but I didn't know there was a program for this. So which organ systems does it help the best? Eyesight, neuropathy, whether it's dementia or peripheral neuropathy, numbness or burning in your feet. Kidney functions, unbelievable what it does for kidney functions. Unbelievable what it does for kidney functions and neuropathy. I can tell you 95% of your neuropathy will go away, and that's not just our data, that's across the board. It's in five or more countries now, and multiple states in the United States. Not many doctors know about it. It's they've done it since the 70s and 80s, and the pumps they had, they're FDA approved pumps that we give insulin through. Just not many doctors know about it. I didn't know about it. Dr. Troxel had a gentleman come in and tell us about it, and a day or 2 later we were in Houston finding out about it. I thought it was snake oil when I first heard about it. I thought, how does that work? When people come in with elevated sugar, we give them insulin pump through the IV, but it's a different modality. Our pancreas produces insulin and glucagon every 3 to 5 minutes, 3 to 7 minutes. When sugar's up, every 3 to 7 minutes, it gives puts a dose of insulin in there. And when we do that, sugars drop rapidly. So we have 8 different varieties of insulin we give you. There's patents on this. It's all adjusted just for your needs. We check your sugars frequently. Rachel will talk about that to make sure, so we can't hurt you with this program. That's a lot of times when I give a medicine, any kind of diabetic medicine I can give you, any kind of medicine, including Tylenol. If you look up the side effects of Tylenol, it's 4 pages. Most medicines are 2 or 3 sentences. Tylenol's 4 pages of side effects, and we all know how safe Tylenol is. We all take Tylenol. But this program, it can't hurt you. It's the same regular insulin, short-acting insulin, just bioidentical to what our body produces. So we give it in little pulses every 3 to 8 minutes, depending on what your needs are. And it helps not only the cells get energy at the cellular level, but it also helps the pancreas at the pancreas level to start producing insulin, cycling like it's supposed to. So it helps your own body function basically like it's supposed to. Instead of a medicine like we give insulin into the skin that stays there for minutes to hours, 22 hours, some of the insulins last 22 hours. That's not how we give it. We give it through the IV as a hormone like your body produces, not as a medicine. So you can still take your insulin. If people are on insulin pumps, it's all regulated. We tell you what to do about your insulin pump. We tell you what to do about your medicines. But most people that if you're on insulin pump, most people, what I see, most people that if they're on 200 or 300 units of insulin, within 2 weeks they're down to half that much. It just helps your own medicines work better. If they're on 3 or 4 type 2 diabetic pills or medicines, usually you'll lower that in half. So whether you're type 1, which is type 1 diabetics are the ones that need insulin, type 2 typically, some of those need insulin, but type 1s typically don't make insulin. Type 2s can make insulin, they just need help with Pre-diabetics are the ones that have insulin resistance, probably need diabetic medicines, but the problem with that, a lot of pharmaceutical or insurance companies will not let you take the medicines, won't pay for the good medicines that will help with pre-diabetes. But the insurance companies are. We don't have very few, if any, denials from this this program for insulin for our insulin infusions. Dr. Troxel and Tamara, they've made it very financially affordable, and like I say, this program isn't for us to make money. It's for you to help out. We don't become your physicians. We'll inform your physicians what it is. We'll give them literature. We send them literature, try to educate them as best we can. We've kept multiple people off of dialysis with this, It's $405,000 a year to insurance companies. So insurance companies go, please sign more of my patients, sign more of these people up. Vision, Dr. Troxel's our poster child. He's a sick man. He doesn't look too sick, but the guy works 24 hours a day. I call him a sick puppy. 7 days a week. It's like he's sick. But he's we're best friends. But I can say that. But anyway, it's really has changed the way I look at healthcare. When people tell me they have dry macular degeneration, lights go off. When I diagnose a new patient with early dementia, lights go off because I know they've got prediabetes or they've got insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome. So I treat it different. We're more aggressive at treating people that have fibromyalgia. So it helps our immune system. People with inflammation, particularly psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, you see a little benefit. Osteoarthritis, not a lot, but bone metabolism, we see people help with bone metabolism. Osteoporosis, we see. So it's got a lot of benefits for a lot of different organs, but the main ones are nerves, peripheral neuropathy, kidney, eyesight, blood pressure. A lot of people when they start this, it's amazing what it does for blood pressure. And 99.9% of people have essential hypertension, which means we don't know what causes it. So we call it essential hypertension. Essentially, we don't know what causes it, so we treat it. We know if we don't treat your blood pressure, more likely to have strokes and heart attacks. Diabetics, more likely to have strokes and heart attacks. So why not? So I thought, why is it that people have neuropathy? So I guarantee you, people that tell me they have peripheral neuropathy and they're not diabetic, I pretty much guarantee they're pre-diabetic. They're going to be diabetic if we don't do something about it. And so a lot of times we check all those things, and we'll check it with your routine blood test for the other reasons that cause neuropathy, thyroid and B12 and magnesium and all those other things. We check those things when we do this. Vitamin D, we check those things to make sure that you B12 don't have more than one thing causing your neuropathy. We'll get your doctor to help manage that too. We'll educate your doctor as to, hey, this is the lab. You might want to look at this or that. I'd recommend or whatever. But the worst thing you do is steal a patient from another doctor. We want to educate those doctors so that they can help more of their patients, send it to us to see if we can help out. But a lot of times if you're on 3 blood pressure medicines, one of mine today, he's on 2. We had to stop one of them today. And he's been doing it maybe a month. And I told him his blood pressure is going to drop. And sure enough, a lot of times you can get off I've seen people that got off of their diabetic medicines. I've seen them get off all their blood pressure medicines. They'll lose 50 or 60 pounds now. They have energy to exercise and eat right, and they feel better, and they're sleeping better. Everybody's sleep patterns gets a heck of a lot better with this. Energy level goes off the wall. Your brain fog, it's crazy what it does for a lot of people that have that, what we call post-COVID syndrome. They're kind of foggy brain. A lot of that's insulin resistance, come to find out. And until we started doing this, I didn't really know how to understand it. But it's really changed the way I look at healthcare and look at people when they tell me certain inflammatory conditions, psoriasis or whatever. It really does, ulcerative colitis. You check them, they've got some insulin resistance a lot of times. But MS, Parkinson's, dementia, it's crazy what it does for certain people that have certain nerve disorders, how it just tells those cells to start, gives them more energy so that they start functioning better. You don't cure diabetes. you'll always be diabetic. You can lose. We've had people that got off of their blood pressure diabetic medicines, and then they start gaining weight, and then they quit exercise, and then they're back on their blood pressure medicine, diabetic medicine. So, the neuropathy is the biggest thing. Neuropathy goes away really quick, but it's slow to come back. People that will quit the program, they don't think it's helping. A lot of people don't realize they have neuropathy until they start this, and then all of a sudden they can feel the ends of their shoes they can feel certain things with their feet. But there's always show-offs. There's always people that in 2 weeks they'll tell you that this and that's happening. One lady, she could watch the TV in just a matter of weeks, and she never could watch TV. And there's always show-offs, and most people, when you're 70, 80, 90 years old, those cells aren't going to heal overnight. This program's for the rest of your life. Rachel will tell you you do it weekly for 4 months, and then it spreads out. Rachel can talk to you about that, but this program, you can always stop it. If you're on a vacation for a month or whatever, and you come back, you might have to bump it up a little bit every week for a while, and then go back to what you were doing before. But most of the things, if it's helping and you quit it a while, you're not going to blow up. You can start it back if you want to. It's not for us. It's for you. It's for you to do better. It's for you to get healthier, and it's to help you. It's not for us. It can't hurt you. The worst thing we could do, we put an IV in there. We could give you a staph infection if we don't clean the skin good enough. We could blow a blood vessel and bruise the back of your hand. We could lower your blood sugar in the infusion clinic. What do? Well, it never happens. We give you a little sugar and it goes back up. I mean, that's the worst thing that could happen. We're not giving you anything foreign. You're not getting an arthritis medicine or chemotherapy, or you're not getting a Laetrile or whatever, Tylenol or something this is the exact same stuff our body produces, so your body doesn't react to it. It's what your body, without insulin we couldn't live, and it's just something it's like water. You got to have water. It's really not anything secretive or unusual. It's the same stuff your body produces, bioidentical. So I could talk about this for hours. Sorry. Any questions about the disease process or program?
Yes, is it individually adjusted?
Yes, absolutely. There's Scott, the guy that owns the company. I want to say he figured that out. He's a Scott Sharp guy. 26,000 variations that we can give you, but it's all programmed. We take your A1C, we adjust insulin. If you're taking a ton of insulin, you're going to have. There's 8 different concentrations of insulin in a 20 cc syringe with a little bitty pump you can carry around and walk around the room. And Rachel, but yeah. So you'll be if you're not diabetic, you're on the lowest concentration, 6.25 units of insulin in that little syringe, and we give it maybe every 8 minutes to start with, and just see what you can tolerate. And it's real easy. And Rachel and them do it all day, every day. It wouldn't be easy for me. I don't do that. But it's real easy to watch it so that we don't make you feel bad by lowering your sugar. It has to be above 125, 120 or 125, 125, 120. I said 120 has to be above 120 before we can even start it. So you're going to eat lunch and all this. I did one in Houston, and they were giving me a hard time. I'm not diabetic or pre-diabetic. I'm fat, but so they were giving me a hard time in Houston because we did it on each other. And for 3 days, you can't believe how much energy I had for 3 days. I slept in a motel. I never can sleep in a motel room. I slept good. I had energy. Would go to lectures all day. I wasn't falling asleep in the lectures. And but before the thing, you had to eat. I knew I had to eat because my sugars are, my body makes insulin well, and it works well. Well, I ate a sandwich, and I had a big deal of chips, and I slapped mayonnaise on my sandwich, and instead of 2 pieces of cheese, I put 3 pieces of cheese on that, and I had chips, and they're all looking at me like, oh my God, no wonder you're fat. And they were giving me a hard time, my own nurses were, and I said, well, your sugar's going to be 400, and I said, no, it was 77, and I had to drink more sugar. And then all these people, those poor pregnant ladies I'd give sugar to when they're we'd give them glucose tolerance tests. Oh my, I knew what it was like. I was about to throw up. They were feeding me so much sugar, I was about to throw up. So I'm not a candidate for that. I'd be in there, you know what I mean? But I made it 2 hours though, just pouring down sugar. I made it 2 hours, but it really helped. It really helped my cells wake up. But anyway, it's real easy. It's really, even the blood work will tell us how well you're gonna. We do a fasting blood test, and if your sugar's 65 when we do it, and your A1C is really low, I'll tell you, I don't think you're gonna be a candidate. You qualify for this or that, but we'll try it a time or two, but it may make you sick. We'll tell you that long before you ever start. We'll sit down and I'll do your exam and we'll go through all that before you ever start. Yeah, any more questions? I'll let Rachel hear she's our nurse practitioner. By the way, one of the sweetest ladies in the state.
I know a few of you, so it's good to see y'all tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about the practical side. Dr. Miller touched on it a little bit, but once you decide that you would like to give this a whirl and you see Dr. Miller, you get your lab, you're found to be a candidate for the program, then we do your insurance stuff, and once that's all done, then you come and you start your first infusion. So the first 2 weeks, you'll be coming twice a week. It takes approximately 3 hours for each infusion. You do have to have an IV when you come. And then you have to have your finger stuck pretty frequently. The first day about every 15 minutes, and then after that, the following days every 30 minutes. But if you have a CGM, we can use it. If you have any of the CGMs we can use. We do check it to make sure it's kind of with what we're getting, but then we can use it throughout your infusion. So the first 2 weeks you come twice a week. Then you come weekly for approximately 3 months. And then after that, we try to start tapering you down. We try to get you maybe every 3 weeks, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, and just keep kind of inching you back. As long as you don't have symptoms that recur, you feel good, and we can get you back off that. We have had people that we've put down to every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks or monthly. They're like, no, I'm starting to have pain in my foot, or I'm not feeling as good, or whatever, and we put them back to a higher level. But that is done very independently. We don't have a set in stone way to do that. We just go by what the patient needs are. And the more serious, we have some very critical renal patients and have had very serious problems, and we've kept them weekly for 2 years. So but it has also kept them off of dialysis. So we're pretty proud of that. But it is very independent. I mean, as far as how it's dosed, how we decide your plan of care, all of that is done very much on an individual basis, one-on-one with the providers and nurse practitioners that are there. And like Dr. Miller said, we're not trying to be your doctors. We're just trying to talk to you about infusion, and then the things that are related to that, like how you're feeling, maybe what you're eating, what we can do to change things, how we can improve other aspects of your health. So you do have to have lab work. Like he said, you have it beforehand. Then we have what we call quarterly reviews. So every 3 months, we try to get your lab again and go back over the things that were giving you trouble at the beginning, kind of see what your baseline was, where are you now, how much have you improved, are you improving, etc., those kind of things. So there's some paperwork every now and then. Everybody loves that. But other than that, that's about how the practical part of it works. Does anybody have questions about that? CGM? A continuous glucose monitor? Yes. Yes, if you have one, we can use your readings, and then we don't have to stick your finger all the time. Anything? Yes. Yes. Now, say your blood sugar starts to drop, or your blood pressure starts to drop, or something starts to change about your status. We're definitely, either going to have you call, or we're going to pick up the phone and call. If it's a big deal, we're going to call and just let them know, hey, Mr. So-and-so was here, and his blood pressure was really low today, and we asked him to call and make an appointment with you to come back and may need meds adjusted or whatever. So, but we don't do it. We don't change it for them because, we don't know if they want to, we don't know you as well as they do, and we also don't want to butt into their plan of care. Eventually, the goal is, though, to get you off of some medications, maybe not all medication, but, get you off some of those blood pressure meds, get you off some of those blood sugar medications so that you don't have to take so many. And sometimes he gets to stay off of it if he behaves.
Yeah, the neuropathy medicine, gabapentin and Lyrica, they make you feel bad. Most people get off of that. They
Yeah.
get off of that because your neuropathy.
Yeah, a lot of people are able to get off it. My mom, she still takes one at bedtime, but she was taking 4 a day, and it did make her feel terrible, just groggy, and she's been coming to the program, pretty much almost since the beginning, and her neuropathy's gone as long as she stays going. She had heart surgery, though, and she missed about 3 months. And she called me and she's like, my feet are hurting so bad. I'm like, Mom, you haven't gone to your infusion. She's like, oh, I forgot about that. Anyway, maybe she needs to come for the memory too. But anybody else have questions? Oh, Miss Tamara's going to talk to Tamara Wells from our business office to talk to y'all about insurance.
I'm Tamara Wells, and those packets that are in front of you, there, can now y'all see me? Okay, so those packets in front of you, they have several papers in there for you to fill out, and you don't have to do it tonight. You can do it when you go home. You can either bring them back up here and leave them at the clinic if you live off somewhere. If you want to contact me, my number is in that folder. You can either fax it or email it to me, and I will take it over and give it to Dr. Miller's nurse. Once they get all of that information, then someone from his office will call you about getting your lab work set up, all of that type of stuff. Once he meets with you and it's determined whether y'all are going to be on the program, he will send over an order to the outpatient infusion department. They will then put that in, and the girls in my department will then call your insurance, find out if your insurance requires a prior authorization, look and see what kind of benefits you have, and then they'll call and go over all of that with you. At any time that you have questions during that, you can ask to talk to someone in the business office or the financial assistance department and discuss payment options. Generally, if you have Medicare and a supplement, there's not going to be any out-of-pocket. If you have a managed care plan or a commercial insurance, then you're probably going to have a deductible or a copay. And we'll talk over all of that with you, explain all of it to you at that time. And then once you're cleared, we will let outpatient infusion know that you're cleared for scheduling. They'll put you on the schedule and call and tell you when you can start. So it's pretty simple. It usually takes about, Rachel, would you say probably 10 to 14 days? Yeah.
That's the plan. We have sometimes
But any time that, if it were to go longer than that, if you just call, we'll check and see where you're at in the workflow and let you know. But generally it takes about 10 to 14 days from the day you turn in your paperwork. So that's pretty much it. So If y'all are local, if you are in Brownwood, Stephenville, or Abilene, you can take your paperwork to those offices and they'll get them back to us. But however we can help you get that over to them, we'll do that as well. Yes, ma'am?
Your lab or Uncle Hamilton?
You can use Hamilton's lab. Yes, you can.
If you have recent labs, you can use those, although there may be a couple of tests that you need that they didn't do, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you've got some labs within the last 30 days, you can probably do that.
And then they'll just send that lab work over to us, or when you get your results, you can make sure that Dr. Miller's office gets those. Okay?
So somewhere in here will be list our doctors.
Yes, in your packet, I believe it has all of that. There's probably a stack about this big that has different things for you to fill out. And if you have trouble filling it out and you have a question, just give one of us a call and we'll go through it with you. Okay? Does anybody else have any questions?
We've actually seen in clinic, we, as I mentioned, we started June 22nd, 2021. Dr. Miller selected 50 patients from his patient group, the cases that he has, and I'm one of them. And so he selected 50 that we would monitor from June 22nd through December to see for ourselves what kind of outcomes we could achieve. Well, it didn't take long. Within the first 30 days, I was walking through the clinic and one of our patients hollered at me. She said, "Hey, I want to talk to you." Well, I had somewhere I needed to go and I was going to come back, but she wasn't having it. She said, "I want to talk to you right now." So I went over and sat down and I said, "Well, tell me, what can I do for you?" She said, "I want to tell you how I benefited from this program." And I said, "Well, great. Well, tell me." And she began to tell me about her getting her feeling back in her legs and her feet. She'd had neuropathy. And she said, "I've gotten all the feeling back." And I said, "You have?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how far up your leg did it go?" She said, "Well, it went all the way up to my waist." And I said, "Well, that's great." And I started to get up and leave. She said, "Wait a minute, I'm not done yet." And I said, "Well, what else?" She said, "Well, as Dr. Miller had mentioned the TV up there," and she said, "Well, when I first started here, I couldn't read those words up there, you know, that scroll at the bottom." She said, "I couldn't read that. It was real fuzzy." She said, "It's all sharp now." I said, "Well, that's great." I started to get up again. She said, "I'm not done yet." And so then she held her arm up, and it was white right along here on her right arm, and it was psoriasis that was going away. And she pointed to her leg. She had shorts on, and she had some on her leg, and it was red. And she said, "This used to look like that." And so I was really impressed with that. It was 30 days, within 30 days that she'd had that. Well, now she's been with us for over 2 years. And one day I was in the Infusion Center talking with her, and we were talking about that. And she said, "Well, now I've got some other things to go along with it." And I said, "Well, what?" And she said, "Fibromyalgia. My fibromyalgia pain has completely gone away. And my migraine headaches, where I was having 2 and 3 a week, they're gone." And so that was something new. We hadn't really heard much about that, but since then we've really watched that. And it's pain. And I was, in talking to some of the patients in there, I didn't realize my back pain had gone away. I've got a train wreck for a back. I've got a ruptured disc, a deteriorating disc from an old football injury, and arthritis up and down my spine. I am a sick puppy. Dr. Miller would be glad to tell you all about it, since he is my primary doctor. But anyway, I had for years had to take injections in my back to be able to get up and down the hallway. Well, you haven't seen me walking around here like I couldn't make it. Well, I don't have any pain anymore. This last week, I took some days off to go up, spend time with my wife, and I was taking a dog out for walks that we had gotten. And I mean, I'm going all over our property out there. It's not a big ranch, but it's big enough. It's 25 or 26 acres, and I'm hoofing it around there with that dog twice a day. I couldn't have gone 100 yards previously, and I was thinking about that this weekend, how grateful I am that I've gotten into the program. But guys, when we do maintenance on our trucks, cars, tractors, whatever it is, we tune them up, we change the oil, change the tires, we do whatever we need to do to get that vehicle or a piece of equipment in good operating order. I've got an engineering background, and when I started college, electronics engineering. And when we started looking at this program, I thought back to bias in an electronic circuit. You have to overcome a bias. Well, the body develops a bias against insulin. And what we're doing, the very basis of what we do here is get the cell back into a healthy state and break through that bias. That's really the bottom line to it. So Dr. Miller mentioned we got 56 trillion cells. Now, a lot of them, as we get older, are not in a healthy state anymore. And that's why you start developing neuropathy and the vision problems and all that. So really, from a maintenance standpoint, we're getting the body back into a fine-tuned, healthy maintenance state at the cell level. So if we do that, anything is possible. If you think about it, we're made up of cells. That's what we're made up. So if we're getting cells back into a healthy state, there's got to be some good come out of that somewhere. And that's what's happening is one person, it might be this, another person that. And that's why one day I was in there and I sat down and was just talking to a lady. And she said, I just got back from my ophthalmologist and my glaucoma is completely gone. And I said, well, how long have you had it? And she said, 10 years. It's completely gone. So that was another one. We hadn't heard that before. That was the first one we heard about. So it's been that sort of thing all along. And what I do the data entry. We're doing research here right now today, and we've been doing it now since June of 2022. We take the data and we look at lab results. We look at one-on-one conversations like I'm talking about right now. And when a patient tells me that, I note it, and I hoof it back to my database, and I update that. What we're actually doing right now, we're doing quantitative and qualitative research. Qualitative, I'm talking to that patient. They say, hey, my neuropathy's gone. That's a qualitative research progress note right there, and I put that in. When we get new lab reports in, right now we're going, every 3 months, Rachel? When we get the new lab reports in, we take a look at what is the changes that are taking place in the patient's body. In my case, one thing I noted meant PSA. We go to the doctor, we get a certain age, especially, that take a look at PSA, don't they? Well, I contacted Rachel when I saw my vision getting better. I said, we need to take a look at my PSA when I get back. I was on the road when I noticed it. I said, let's take a look at my PSA when I get back. Well, when I entered the program, my PSA was 2.71. After my next lab report, it came down to 0.84. Never forget it. I was jumping for joy. The next one is like 0.7, so it's going down. And it doesn't work for everyone. I've had some patients, there's one in particular, it went up. So it's not 100%. But I can tell you what's working for me. But one of the things that, there's things in life that mean a lot to you. Well, I'm going to tell you about one. Is the lady I was telling you about, where she had gotten the feeling back and her psoriasis went away and headache went away and all that. One day she became very tearful. And I hadn't seen her like that before. She's not geared that way. So for her to get emotional, it affected me. And she said, you all gave me my life back. Now, to have somebody tell you that, that's pretty special. But that's what she said. And she went on to talk about it. She said, I was bedridden, didn't want to do anything, couldn't do anything. And now she's up and going. She's vibrant. And it's a special situation. And I have another patient that is down south. When she came in with her husband, she was in terrible shape. She had a long list of things that she was dealing with, pain being one of them. Hadn't driven the car in 5 years, just on and on and on. And Dr. Miller and I both commented after we saw her after treatment for, 60 days, something like that. She had completely changed. I mean, she was a different person. Just to look at her, completely different. And so, folks, this is what I'm saying to you. We give people hope. When I was diagnosed with macular degeneration in 2018, it was one of the worst days of my life, because at that moment I realized that I was going to lose my eyesight, at least to the point that I couldn't function normally. I knew I wasn't going to be able to drive at some point, and I didn't know how much longer I could work. And at the time, I told the ophthalmologist, I said, look, I've got a lot of work to do, and I need time to do it. And so what we have done now is allowed me to work longer and be able to enjoy life more and be more effective because of what we're doing here. So I can tell you point blank, one-on-one, that it can make a difference, and it gives people hope. What we're doing is not only that, but we're improving the quality of life of people and extending quality life years. We are making a difference. And what we're doing at this hospital right now and in our other locations is going to impact people around the world. Because people, they'll start with this paper being written on macular degeneration. That'll be the first one. And there will be many coming after that. They'll be hearing about what we're doing here. And so somebody that's just been diagnosed with macular degeneration, and they've been told there's no cure, and they're sitting there like I was. What do I do now? Well, they're going to hear about this. They're going to read about it or hear about it. And they're going to know that, yes, there is a treatment. We're not going to cure anything, but we're going to make life better for you, for them. Their quality of life is going to be much improved, and they'll be more productive. And the pain issue, I'm one of those that have had to live with pain. There's nothing worse than living moment to moment with pain. But there are people that have to do that, and we can do something about it. Not 100%, but a good percentage of it, we can help them. With that, I'll take questions. Anyone?
We've had several patients that told their doctor that they were going to come to these infusions, and we really don't steal your patients from anybody, doctors, but we had two that their doctor fired them when they heard they were going to come try to get some help with this, and one of them, their A1C, when they came here, they were on one metformin a day, and their A1C was in for 15 years, and that apparently wasn't adequate because A1C was 10.5 or 10.6. And when she told me that, I'd been her doctor for over 30 years, and she started crying. She was bawling, actually, and I said, well, sounds like you needed to change. Sometimes it's okay to change doctors, but anyway, I think that's what bothers me more than anything. I've got several partners that hadn't referred one patient to this program. I've got a lot of their patients that are coming to this, but and they're improving by it, but they still don't believe in it. And that doesn't mean they're not smart doctors. That doesn't mean they're not good doctors. I know you're from Hamilton, but I tell you, some of the best doctors in the state of Texas are in Hamilton, Texas. Dr. Lee, I've known Dr. Lee a long time. I trained the same place they did. I'm just a lot older than they are. But so I know what kind of training and that they got. And so if it wasn't for Dr. Troxel, I probably wouldn't be doing this myself. Because I thought it was snake oil when I first heard about it. I don't see how that works, but we had the wherewithal. I wasn't going to, until I heard about it more, I wasn't going to do it. And then when we went to Katie and found out about it, we couldn't get back quick enough. And within a few weeks, we were doing it. We were going for training, and and because it can hurt you and it can help you, the endocrinologist, I talk to 6 or 8 or 10 endocrinologists a year, and I ask them what they do about insulin resistance and this and that, and I can tell you right quick, because they're some of the smartest doctors. I mean, book-wise, what they have to learn and is very difficult. I mean, they're typically some of the smartest doctors there are, endocrinologists, and very few endocrinologists know about this program. And so, it's just the way it is. It's going to take it a while to be in the doctor's vocabulary. It's just they don't know about it, and they're so busy with other things. Just like me, there's certain disease processes I don't want to learn about. There's just too much. It's too involved, and I don't have enough patience with that. But with metabolic syndrome and insulin resistance, 40% of Texas has metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance. 40% of everybody in the state of Texas has insulin resistance or pre-diabetic or diabetic. So this program would, right today, 40% of Texans could be in this program today. So do all those people need to be in this program? No. They need to lose weight or exercise, get on the right diabetic medicines or a diabetic medicine. So yeah, there's other ways to get rid of insulin or treat insulin resistance. But if you've already got symptoms, if you already got pain or neuropathy, oh my gosh, you need in this program Mounjaro or whatever, Ozempic or whatever it is that's going to help your insulin resistance. Most diabetic medicines for 1 or 2 help insulin resistance, but most people that start this program are already on that, and they've got complications associated with insulin resistance. And that's why when I see someone with fibromyalgia or dementia or peripheral neuropathy or dry macular degeneration, what do we do for that? We put them on Ocuvite or Persivision or whatever. We put them on AREDS vitamin. And that's all we have for that. I mean, that's it. And they'll say, well, come back and see me in X number of months and we'll see how bad it's gotten. We have a program that actually reverses, it helps that, and I can't get the odd doctors to listen to me. So you think, I'm 66 years old, you think that's frustrating? It's frustrating, but I can't help that. We can't solve the world. We'll try to help you. You're not going to make any money off of me, or I'm not going to make any money off of you. The hospital can, or the program can, but this is here to try it. It doesn't hurt you to try it, and we'll try to educate your doctors, and don't change doctors, for God's sake. Stay with your doctor. But I guarantee you, if you go tell them, they're going to tell you how bad it's snake oil. I was the same way. I'm in the same way. I have people that, I saw a lady today. She went to Mexico to get some kind of silly treatment from the guy who wasn't even a doctor for breast cancer. And she's still alive. She did that for 2 years. She came in, she's still alive. Finally, when it got to the other breast into her lungs, she let me send her. She would then go to oncologist. Well, you know what I mean? But we let her try that. She tried it. It's not that kind of treatment. This isn't like going to Mexico and letting a non-doctor give you a treatment modality, and it's not anything that can hurt you. A1Cs, when it bothered me, we know that A1Cs go down 50, 45, 46% as a whole. Everybody that does this, A1Cs get better. But when we first started doing it, we read all that literature from the last 10 years in Houston. All our data goes to Houston. It's in a big data, millions or hundreds of thousands of insulin infusions over in 5 or 6 countries. But anyway, the least of those are in the United States, of all things. But it'll get there. But all that data with A1Cs we know go down when you do this, and your amount of your diabetic medicines go down. We know that happens, but when you first start doing it, our data showed A1Cs actually went up on a lot of people. When they checked their CGMs or glucose monitors, oh my gosh, they weren't ever getting anything over 200. It never would bottom out below 90, and it was in the right range, but their A1Cs actually went up. And I thought, how in the heck is that? You can look at they'd never been that well controlled, and their A1Cs went up a little bit for that first 6 months. And I got to thinking, well, as we make red blood cells, they last 120 days. As you make red blood cells, sugar goes into that day, that hour, that minute that red blood cells, sugar, what's in your bloodstream goes into that cell. And then so A1C is an average over 120 days of all the red blood cells, because they don't have mitochondria. They stay there 120 days. So you have a bunch that are dying today, and you have a bunch that are being made today. So the average over 120 days is what your sugar average is. That's what an A1C is. And so the way I look at it, if they're red blood cells that are being made in your bone marrow, if they're being made today and that sugar's high, it's going to be that level. But if their cells aren't functioning right, the bone marrow cells aren't functioning right, the sugar can't get in there. You've got insulin resistance. So once you get rid of that insulin resistance, once we start this, sugar's getting in those cells really well. And so all those cells are getting more sugar. So the next 6 months, all those cells have more sugar in them, even though your bloodstream level is better. Those sugars are able to get in those cells and give them energy for the next 120 days. But anyway, so it actually looks different. You'll go to the doctor, oh, the A1C's, that program isn't working. Well, it's not going to work first. And I send that. I tell your doctors, I send letters to all your doctors when you come into this, try to explain to it. And I know what they do. They throw it in the trash because you ask them, and they've never read one article I sent them, and I can't help that. But anyway, so it really is pretty amazing. So don't fire your doctor. Don't fire your doctor. Don't let them fire you. But anyway, that's just the way it is, and they'll get there. They're just, I was the same way. You have infusion clinics have gotten a bad rap over the last year or two. You have people in Wortham, Texas that died. They got an infusion, and someone that wasn't even a doctor or nurse gave them a TPN, and they died. So you hear, an infusion clinic. You have people that have hangovers, and they go in the clinic over in Steveville or Brownwood or wherever, and they get some IV fluids and vitamins, and they feel better. Or they go to Oklahoma and they get a Jesus shot, and it's a tremendous amount of steroids, and then they're diabetic in a month or two. But so they get some of these infusion clinics get a bad rap. We're not that way. We're just helping insulin resistance, and we're not giving you anything that's going to hurt you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. We're just about out of time, folks. Anybody have a question on anything?